So, welcome everyone to a new album ranking. Yeah, today's going to be kind of a special one. I decided to go off the track a bit, off the norm, because I got things to promote. So what I thought would be fun is I'm going to do a Hawkwind album ranking, and I'm going to work through exactly the same polls that I did on for my book. So let me do some shameless promotion. I've got my new Hawkwind book out. Yeah, Hawkwind fans worldwide Facebook top 40 albums. I did this book, I guess maybe a year and a half ago, maybe a couple of years ago, not sure how long it was, and it was a good book, and quite a few people bought it, and I appreciate that. But the publisher I was with kind of screw things up really, like for everyone, not just me, changing their website, losing people's books, not giving out royalties, you know, all the dodgy stuff. So I decided to take it off the market, but there are still quite a lot of people that wanted the book, so I sort of decided to rewrite it. And in fact, there was loads of other things I could do with it, like new polls, that kind of thing. So with this book, it's like double as thick. There's all the extra polls, extra comments. So some people that only commented a couple of times comment quite a lot on the second edition. So yeah, it's basically a book for the fans. You know, I just basically go for the top 40 and review the albums, but basically, really, it's the Facebook comments. Oh, I won't give away. I won't give away too much detail. Don't want to spoil things, but let's go. So it kind of looks something like that, with your comments down below, and so the extra polls are like Hawkwind members, Hawkwind lineups, and Hawkwind artwork, gig memories, stuff like that. So the writing part was easy. Actually, the formatting and was a nightmare. Me and my sister, my sister edited it, and yeah, it was quite a few problems, but we got there in the end. You always spot mistakes, that's the thing. And right up until now, I still spot things, you know. But yeah, so basically, it's available on Amazon for £15. I would like to make it cheaper, but I barely make any money. I don't even make £1 per book. Although if you look on Amazon, keep looking on Amazon, because sometimes they do deals, like, so it would be cheaper. But you can also buy for £12 and pay to my PayPal, elric.newby at yahoo.com. Obviously, if you want a book, just let me know in the comments on YouTube or on my Facebook. A lot of bought the book already, a lot of pre-ordered books, so I really appreciate it. If I know you, like, personally, like, I can sell you a book for £10 and just hand it to you. So yeah. So what I decided to do is, over the next sort of few weeks, is go through my Hawkwind album rankings. I am a huge fan. Basically, it was really down to my my dad, really. We listened to a bit of Hawkwind when we were kids, but when my parents split in the late 80s, my dad moved in with my uncle, and then that's when he really started getting properly into Hawkwind, and my dad actually became like a real serious collector and collecting everything, and that was like the band for him, and it obviously rubbed off on me. So yeah, that's basically how I got into Hawkwind. Couldn't avoid it, you know. So yeah, the 70's. Let's get it set up. What I'll do is I won't give away where the albums got into the main chart, but I'll just compare where it got into the 70's chart, to compare to what my choices are. There's a few different ones, you know, as you can expect. not everyone agrees, but let's set that up there. So, right, here we go then. I will give one thing away though. The bottom album, it shows how strong the Hawkwind 70's catalogue is. I mean, it's the classic era. You know, let's be honest, it's the best era, and we all love the 70's Hawkwind. The bottom, what you voted at bottom number 9 in the 70's album poll, well, is actually number 21 in the main list. So it just goes to show how much everyone loves the 70's, you know, output, because, you know, it's still 21, which is pretty good when you think about the top 40. So, yeah, amazing stuff. And for me personally, I love all these albums. My top 6 albums would get in my top 10 Hawkwind albums, I think. And you know, 7, 8, 9 are good albums as well. So here we go. So exactly the same as what you voted. At number 9, I've got 25 Years On, the Hawklords album, and terrible cover. I like this album. It's really good. I think it's probably the most new wave sort of sounding album, I think, by Hawkwind, which is good in a way. You know, it took them away from being a sort of dinosaur band, didn't it? You know, and tiny little writing. Everyone's involved with this album. You know, basically what happened was they finished up writing PXR5, and that the band split, their album shelved, and what happened was he got the Sonic Assassins lineup together, with a few sort of members from Hawkwind as well. So you got a lot of people involved. I think Martin Griffin, Simon King, Brock Calvert, Simon House, Steve Swindles comes in on keyboards. And Harvey Bainbridge, his first album with Harvey Bainbridge on bass. Have I missed anyone else out? So yeah, that's pretty much the band. Yeah, so yeah, a lot of people involved. What's cool about all my Hawkwind albums, because unfortunately my dad passed away, so I got to grab a lot of these records. So a lot of these, majority of these are originals, you know, and with all the gubbins and everything. So you got the inside sleeve. Very artsy looking, this album as well. And you got the really smart and again quite artsy sort of booklet that come with it. You know, Bob Calvert's a smart man, I'm not, so you know, a lot of it's slightly above my head, but interesting anyway. You know, the idea, I presumed, it's just kind of the idea is they build this massive factory and create sort of fantasies, but using heaven and angels and all this weird stuff as well. It's just like bit weird, but interesting as well, and futuristic, of course, you know. But yeah, interesting stuff. So yeah, it's a cool album. I think it's good, but I don't think the songs are quite stack up to some of the better albums like you know, earlier. But I do like Psy Power's awesome, love that. 3-4, I love that song. You got the Crazy Automoton instrumental. 25 Years, that's okay. That sort of reminds me of something. He sounds like Brian Ferry on that song, so it reminds me of Roxy music a little bit. Flying Doctors, the rocky track, really good song, fun, but like quite a heavy number. The Only Ones, pretty good. Only the Dead Dreams of a Cold War Kid. Espionage, because he's quite into that as well, Calvert. I mean, he brought the science fiction. He brought science fiction, espionage, like all that kind of stuff. I really like The Age of the Microman, the last song. I really like that track. So yeah, 25 years on. The last album, well, you know, like I say, I mean, to me, this is the really the proper last studio album of the 70s, because obviously PXR5 was shelved. So yeah, there you go. That's my number 9. Right, my number 8 is actually your number 7. But I do like this album. To be honest, not apart from like maybe a few sort of modern albums. There's not really any Hawkwind albums I dislike. You know, or not that keen on. I like all the albums really. But so I've gone for my number 8. Astounding Sounds, Amazing Music. Done in the style of the 60s comics. Pretty cool. And there's the back cover. Although apparently I didn't actually know this really until I wrote my book. That's the interesting stuff. You learn stuff as well. This was sometimes people's front cover, and that was the back cover for some copies. But first album, Charisma, big change. Lemmy leaves the band. They bring in Paul Rudolph from Pink Fairies on bass, although he was the guitarist in Pink Fairies. And it takes on quite a different kind of style. It's quite a mellow album. It's quite funky in places, so quite a different sort of album. But it's pretty cool. I mean, it took me a while to get into this one actually, but I do like it. And I love the inner sleeve with the adverts, and all the members of Hawkwind get their own little funny advert. Dr. Brock's atomic pole preparations I particularly like. It's Monza Nick Turner. Paul Rudolph, Manly Strap-On Company, big muscles. Play Right Away with Simon House, School of Music. Whatever. Enjoy rollicking bedside fun, Simon King. Yeah, pretty funny stuff. But yeah, it's a good album. Starts like with the legendary Reefer Madness, the propaganda type song. I really like that. That's really good. Steppenwolf is awesome. You got City of Lagoons, which I quite like. They mixed up the credits for that, because I think City Lagoons and Chronicle Skyway, because so they get it right here. Yeah. City Lagoons. No, yeah, because it says City Lagoons written by House, but I think Chronicle Skyway is written by House, and City Lagoons written by Alan Powell. So yeah. But anyway, yeah, you got City Lagoons, the Aubergine, the 8 Rangoon, funky one there. Curb Crawler, quite the rocky sort of track. It's okay. Got sort of slightly sort of commercial feel to that one. K-Do Fly, Nick Turner song I really like, and Chronicle Skyway I really like a lot as well. A really good instrumental that. So yeah, pretty cool album all in all. But, you know, not up there with sort of one of my favourites, but still cool. So I'm on number 7. It is 9, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is 9 albums, yeah. So my number 7 is your number 8, and it's the debut Hawkwind. I actually like that cover. I know people. It's one of them covers that people either love or hate, but I actually think it's pretty cool as it goes. Green. Got the gatefold version. Really cool. It has like the bands explaining how they got into the band and all that, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah, I really love the first album. Yeah, it's fantastic. Very raw. Done pretty much live, with a few little overdubs, but it's pretty much a live album, and it's like that kind of early jammy kind of Hawkwind. I say like it's pretty much like captures the spirit of Hawkwind probably the most, this album in a way. So yeah, the original, well, it's not quite the original lineup, because you had Dave Brock, you know, guitar, synths, the usual thing. You got Dick Mick on synths, Terry Ollis on drums, Hugh Lloyd-Langton on guitar, the only album we do, but he'd come back, and John Harrison on bass, which was the only album he did. So it's not quite the original, and Nick Turner on sax and flute. You had Mick Slattery on guitar before Hugh Lloyd-Langton for the sort of Hawkwind Zoo era, but apart from that, this is the original lineup. Yeah, really cool book, ended by a couple of busking numbers. Hurry on Sundown, which you can see he must have done when he used to go busking. I'd like to go back in time and see that. Mirror of Illusion, so yeah, really good. And the rest is kind of almost like a freeform kind of music, really. Not a lot of lyrics. The reason is kind of just spacey, weird, almost feels like an intro in a way. Be Yourself, I like that. It's got quite a 60s vibe to that one, but that's a good track. Paranoid Pop 1 and 2. My favourite song, Seen It As You Really Are. I love that song. It's like around 10 minutes. I just love how crazy it is. It goes from, slows up, goes quiet, speeds up, goes loud. It's just like the dynamics of that song. And yeah, really good, crazy stuff as well. So yeah, that's the Hawkwind debut. Good stuff. So this next album, so all these albums now I love. I mean, pretty much. You know, it's mad that my sixth choice is 6, because I really like the album, and I'm often battling a bit whether like I like it more than Quite Strange and Charm in a lot of ways. I was like, you know, do I pull it ahead? Like, you can't really, but I really do love this album. I think it's kind of maybe one that's slightly overlooked, maybe, but when you look at all the songs, they're all real classics. So at number 6, I got PXR5. But like I say, my top 6 albums were getting to my top 10 Hawkwind albums of all time. So, cool cover of the plug. The plug wide rung out the back. Original, not blocked out. The only thing I don't have, but I don't know why I don't have it. The album originally come with a family tree. You know, the classic family tree. Sheet like poster, but mine doesn't have it, but I have seen it, so I don't know where that is, but it's such a good album all the way through. I love it. Death Trap, real heavy, sort of punky, metally kind of riff, really good lyrics. Jack of Shadows, I really like Jack of Shadows. I think it's one song I've never really heard and played live, even on album or actually seen them live, but I like Jack of Shadows. Really good vocal melody, quite poppy, but I really like it. Uncle Sam's on Mars, which is kind of like a reworking of Opaloka from Warriors on the Edge of Time. We've added lyrics, very good lyrics by Calvert. You know, Earth is being destroyed, but hey, America's gone to Mars, so you know. I love The Beautiful Infinity by Brock. Just love it. I love that song, and it's actually the thing with this album. Actually, it's nice to hear Brock singing again, because 3 albums previous, or you know, if you include Hawklaws, he doesn't do any singing, so it's nice to hear his voice again. Yeah, but he has depressing lyrics, doesn't he, Brock? You know, being trapped in eternity, his soul trapped in eternity. But I love it. Life Form, the quick little instrumental. Robot, absolutely fantastic song. I love Robot. Obviously based on the Isaac Asimov song book. Brilliant lyrics by Calvert, and good riff, you know, good heavy riff, great violin work as well. It could be Mellotron, it's hard to tell sometimes, but great work by, oh, it says it here anyway, oh, keyboards and violin, Simon House, but I love the use of it. Then you got the brilliant High Rise, which, considering this album come out first, I would consider Freefall being kind of like High Rise Part 2 in a way, you know, it has a similar kind of vibe to it. Yeah, brilliant, great lyrics. PXR5, the title track, it reminds me of Yes, that song, like the vocal melodies, but yeah, really like that. Great tune, great lyrics as well. They do, you know, getting lost in space and you know, trying to spread the dream and throughout the galaxy. Yeah, really good stuff. It's amazing how good this album is, because like when you think the band were pretty much in disarray at the time, all the songs, they're all recorded in different places. It's a cobbled together album, a couple of live tracks. You know, obviously Calvert at the time wasn't the best of health. I know Andrew Shaw was really pissed off with the band at the time, and all this sort of stuff. Yet they come out with this album, which I think is great, you know. So it's quite remarkable. So yeah, it's PXR5. So where are we at? 5, haven't we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So yeah, at number 5 is actually People's number 2, and I understand that this is an absolute classic, and I love it. But I'm very much a big fan of the spacey early stuff, so it doesn't quite get into that sort of top tier for me, but it is absolutely fantastic and a classic album, probably the album where most of the songs are played live, you know. Of course it's Quite Strange and Charm. So yeah, after like the Astounding Sounds lineup, Rudolph leaves, they bring in Andrew Shaw, Nick Turner leaves, and apart from that it's yeah, same lineup for Power leaves as well as second drummer, and this is the same lineup as PXR5 as well. But yeah, absolute classic, isn't it? You know, what have I got inside? I got the lyric sheet with all the little cross outs and Hawkwind, I presume Brock, telling you what's happening at the time. And yeah, it's a fantastic album, isn't it? You got the Hypnosis cover as well, which did a lot of the Pink Floyd stuff. Of course, you got Spirit of the Age, absolute classic. Starts off with I don't know if anyone knows this, but the opening lyrics are from the logbook in the In Search of Space. Absolutely brilliant lyrics. I don't need to explain really. You all know that. Damnation Alley, love that song, based on the book, which I do have actually somewhere. Yeah, based on the book. Nuclear Ravaged Land in America. Fable of a Failed Race. I really like that. It actually shows Calvert can actually sing quite well when he wants to, because it's quite a melodic song. I always thought it would sound better with Brock singing that one, but it's still a really good song. It's really short, and it's funny because you get the CD reissue. It's got the extended version of it, which goes on for like almost double the amount of time. But yeah, good song. B-side you got Quite Strange and Charms, single. Again, it has a kind of slightly new wave, slightly punky sort of vibe to it, which probably helped them. Then you got the legendary Hasani Sabha, which is a song I think I've heard the most by Hawkwind live, and it never gets dull. Actually written by Calvert and Rudolph, actually, that one. So he did write a really classic song there, Paul Rudolph. But, well, yeah, absolutely fantastic song. The violin, the riff, the Middle Eastern vibe, the the lyrics just absolutely amazing. The Forge of Falcon, instrumental by House, just a standard instrumental. Days of the Underground, talking about obviously the old days. Again, a good sort of punk kind of a riff, really good. And I really like the Iron Dream. King gets a credit for that one. It's really short though. I always want that one to be longer. It has that old style repetitive groove to it, and I've heard it a lot live. It's amazing, like when you see Hawkwind live over the years, that they'll slip that in as a kind of ending song. I really like the Iron Dream. It's great track, but way too short. So there you go. Like I say, I do absolutely love this album, but I am into the sort of like the early spacey rock kind of stuff. But Quiet Station in the Charm is excellent. So at number 4, and you've got this down as number 5, and it's great package. It's X in Search of Space, 1971 album, their second album. There's the back, but it of course, as you all know, it's the way it folds out, which is awesome. Folds out from the middle like that. So you got the logbook. Again, really excellent. The logbook is again, you know, Calvert's an intellectual guy, you know, and I'm not. But I find it interesting, you know. It seems to me like they're travelling through time in their spacecraft. That's 2D. That comes to Earth, becomes 2D, becomes a final album. But it's just interesting how it's not in sort of order, so I would presume they're sort of jumping through time. But it's also got some really interesting like metaphysical stuff, also some science stuff that's quite interesting in it. So yeah, and what an amazing thing, like you know, for your second album, the confidence to put out something this sort of involved, you know. There's a lot of work gone into that, you know, for someone that's just brought out their second album, not even particularly big. You got the brilliant package that opens out. That's them playing under the Westway, Ladbroke Grove, in front of sort of school children or whatever. People sitting down. Yeah, God, I would love to have been there, but it's weird how people sat down at gigs back in those days. But and you got the guys there. So the difference between the first album is they bring in Del Detmar originally to replace Dick Mick, because Dick Mick had like a really bad car crash, but you got Wells, so they just had both of them in, which turned out like a good decision, because obviously I think of them as a pair, you know, doing their weird sound effects. And they bring in John Harrison, who actually from Amundor, who actually replaces Thomas Crimble. Thomas Crimble was the bassist before. It wasn't on any album, but was in the band from like 71. I think Crimble actually played like Glastonbury and a few things like that. I don't know if there's any. I think on the Textoff Festival. I think there's Thomas Crimble, Hawkwind on that, but yeah, there ain't a lot around. But yeah, this compared to the first album, like, I love the production. You can tell they're sort of really taking themselves quite a bit more seriously with this album, you know, and it's, you know, well produced, fantastic album. I think it's gold, actually, this album. Yeah, you got, yeah, You Shouldn't Do That. One of my favourite songs by Hawkwind, definitely. About 15 minutes. I never get bored with that album, with that song. It's absolutely 15 minutes of genius to me. It's yeah, it's perfect. You got you know you're only dreaming. Great song, great instrumental at the end. I love Brock's vocals on that. I do know these songs off by heart, but it's always better just to look. Master Universe, absolute classic, of course. One of their songs they play quite a lot. It's great stuff. Nick Turner. The thing with this album, actually, it's kind of like, in a lot of ways, it's the best of Nick Turner, really. I think it was him at his best writing wise. He writes 3 songs, sings 3 songs on this album. Master Universe, You Shouldn't Do That, Children of the Sun. So very much a Nick Turner driven project. Yeah, you got Took the Wrong Step Years Ago. Beautiful song. Quite busky again by Brock. I really love that song. And what he's saying is true. And it, you know, you can write that song now, and it would be true. You know, great song. You got a Just Me, the weird instrumental. The way it starts with this low and speeded up voice. Just a perfect sort of trippy song for the time. And you got the sort of folky Children of the Sun. Yeah, really good song. So it's kind of, for me, like it feels like their sort of trippiest album. Like, you know, it's pretty rocky. I mean, they would get a bit heavier, but it's still pretty rocky. But has a real sort of free festival, early 70s vibe to it, and it's a fantastic album. And what a package, you know. So my top 3. I mean, these 3 albums for me are like my favourites, definitely, by Hawkwind, and they're, you know, they're 3 flawless albums. I've put them in order, but you could, for me, I could swap them around, and it would still be fair, you know. They're all good to me. They're all perfect. So I'm gonna go for at number 3, which is your number 3 as well. I'm gonna go for the awesome Hall of the Mountain Grill. 1974. Cool cover, abandoned spacecraft, and at the back you got another nice landscape cover. Inside you got the band on the climbing frame, and the Mountain Grill Cafe. Quite a funny name. It's probably, when you think about it, not the best name for an album, because obviously it's a play on Hall of the Mountain King. You put grill in there, it's a bit, but you got so used to it, it doesn't really matter, you know. Obviously it's based on their Mountain Grill restaurant they used to go to. But what a fantastic album. Again, the band change up their style a little bit on this one. They bring in Simon House, trained musician, so he brings in the mellotron, a more kind of ethereal kind of sound to it. Still heavy and rocking in places, but has much more of that kind of feel to it. Is that the only change? Yeah, I think, yeah, that's pretty much the only change from the previous album. Yeah. Yeah, obviously Simon House replaces Dick Mick, who leaves, but you still got Del Detmar. So yeah, what an album, from start to finish. Psychedelic Warlords, Disappearance, Smoke, nice political song, great riff, just great sound, right from the off, with the, it almost sounds like a didgeridoo, doesn't it, at the beginning. Just great sounds. You float away with these songs. Brilliant. Wind of Change is just one of the most emotional, best instrumentals I've ever heard. I actually loved it. I actually played it on my radio show, and people were getting emotional over that song, so that was cool. D Rider, love that track, one of Nick Turner's, very metaphysical and fantasy and stuff like that. Yeah, I sort of over the top with that, but I love the sound of that song. Brilliant. Web Weaver, a nice cool short track by Dave Brock, really good. Then side 2 you got the You Better Believe It, a nice heavy rocker. A couple of live songs, a couple of songs taken from live concerts. You Better Believe It and Paradox. Yeah, that great driving song. Hall of Mountain Grill, instrumental by House. Nice piano and synths on it. Lost Johnny is a Lemmy track. He only wrote a few songs for Hawkwind, but he always come up with quite sort of weird lyrics, especially with Lost Johnny. I'm really not quite sure what the song's about, but yeah, pretty good song, Lost Johnny. Goat Willow, you got the little quirky little instrumental by Detmar, and then you got the awesome Paradox. I love Paradox. Brilliant vocals, interplay between Lemmy and Brock. And then, you know, when it goes into that sort of heavy riff and the violin comes in, it's just so good. It goes off at the end with the instrumental that floats off at the end. I love Paradox, such a good song. So yeah, the whole album's pretty much genius from start to finish. So that's my number 3. Yeah, so I mean, my number 1 choice is probably musically maybe not as good as my second and third choices, you know, but there's something about that first choice that I love. But so my number 2, which is your number 1 voted album from the 70's, and it's an absolutely gorgeous album. It's Warriors on the Edge of Time. Amazing album. Again, looks fantastic. Great cover. And even greater, you can fold it out into a shield, Chaos Shield. I mean, how great does that look? And on the other side you got, not to drop the album out of it, you got the cover there extended with the warrior looking over, which looks like a mirror image, but actually if you look closely it isn't. But yeah, fantastic cover and package. And the inside looks great as well, the inside cover. Got the band on stage. Got some artwork there, Barley Bubbles artwork. And yeah, it's from Hall of Mountain Grill. They bring in another drummer, again to initially replace Simon King, who I think he broke some ribs or something. He had a little accident, but they decided to keep the 2 drummers together. Also Michael Moorcock comes in to do some spoken word, and it's a kind of loosely based, some of it on the Eternal Champion books, but it's not really a concert album, but it definitely has that vibe. And I think with this album, I think they really come to their creative peak. I don't think they've ever really quite done an album like this creatively. The way the songs flow into each other, the spoken word poem sections, it just, and the sound of it, the production of it, it's so lush, but not overproduced as well. You know, it's just an amazing album. It just sounds so good. And of course you got amazing Assault and Battery and Golden Void, all one song, 10 minutes, genius. Another pair of tracks they've played a lot live over the years, but Golden Void, even though like lyrically it's very much fantasy, it still like has an emotional sort of attachment to me. Like it just sounds emotional, you know. Absolutely gorgeous song. You got Wizard Blues Home, which is in spoken word. Spoken word give the album kind of a dark feel, which and you know, and a concept feel to it. I love the spoken word sections. Opaloka, written by the drummers. I like it. It sort of goes back to more of their tribally early sort of sound. The Demented Man, I actually love that song. Super depressing lyrics by Brock, but but emotional as well. I love Demented Man and the sound, but just the music behind it as well. I love the Demented Man, such a good song. Side 2, and kind of one that's forgotten about a bit. I remember like they did play through the Warrior on the Edge of Time album, because it got released on CD, and that was cool to go and see that. And like the highlight for me was Demented Man, because Brock sung it as well, and it's just, I've never really heard it live, so it's just amazing to hear that. Side 2, you got the awesome Magnu, that legendary riff. I love Magnu, great song, you know, about the poem. It's probably like, it's got definitely a more fantasy feel than maybe any album they done actually. Stand Out the Edge, nice poem. I think Michael Moorcock does Wizard Blew His Horn and Warriors, and Nick Turner does Stand Out the Edge. You can get, I've got the expanded CD box version, and there's loads of different versions of poems. There's even poems that wasn't done for the album but was performed live, different takes and things like that. It's well worth getting. Spiral Galaxy 28948, Simon House song. Apparently that's Simon House's birthday, but apparently they got that wrong anyway. That's how I hear. But I really love the heavy bass at the beginning, and it's a kind of funky instrumental. Really like it. You got Warriors, yeah, ice cold, super depressing spoken word piece there. Before it goes into Dying Seas, one of Nick Turner's songs, pretty good. Again, you never, with a lot of Nick Turner's songs, you never really know what he's saying, because he always messes with the vocals, puts a lot of flange and stuff like that on it, but you know, it just adds to the spacey sounds, doesn't it? And then right at the end you got a song that's kind of quite different to the rest of the album, but Kings of Speed, which is a real heavy, sort of heavy rocker. Some people think it's a bit misplaced in the album. I love it anyway. You know, I come from a heavy metal, heavy rock background anyway, so love that song. And it was released as a single with Motorhead on the B-side, which of course went on to form that band. So yeah, absolutely fantastic album. It could be my number one, Hall could be my number one, but for today it isn't, because I kind of can't really take this off a number one, because it's just a really special album to me, and this was actually voted your number 4. So I can kind of understand, but to me this is quintessential Hawkwind. This is archetypal Hawkwind. This is Do Re Mi Fa Sol La Ti Do. I'm so used to saying that I can't even remember what the real scale is now, because obviously they changed it. But awesome album cover. The look has a kind of biker vibe to it in a way. The back cover's awesome. Barley Bubbles. I've got the version with the poster. Great. It's a very flimsy poster actually. I'm kind of surprised I haven't ripped it. Brilliant inside cover paint in there, like Barley Bubbles. I mean, I love what they talk about there. Kind of like, it's kind of tongue in cheek in a way, but you know, the Hawkwind gather together to basically fight against the man. You know, the man at the top, the government, things like that. But it's done in a kind of in a funny way. Really, it's hard to explain, but they add kind of fantasy elements to the real life, like, you know, so things like they mention like band members and crew members, but done in a fantasy kind of way. But it's all about standing up and fighting against like governments and corporations and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really good, pretty funny as well. Why is this number one for me? I just think the sound of it is like quintessential Hawkwind. I just absolutely love the songs. It's probably Hawkwind's heaviest album, certainly their rawest. Maybe the production is a bit muddy maybe, but I don't care about that. It sounds great to me. I think Dick and Dale sound perfect together, and of course they'll go on to do the Space Ritual with this lineup. So to me it just sounds amazing. So on this, from the first album, you've got some lineup changes. Lemmy comes in, and you can really notice he was a guitarist. The first time he ever played bass was with Hawkwind, and you really notice him coming in because the bass is very heavy. There's bass solos and stuff like that. Plays the bass a bit like a guitar with chords. I think that's all they bring in. Apart from that, it's they bring in Simon King on drums, which quite a different drummer to Terry Ollis. Terry Ollis is much more of a sort of jazzy, tribally type drummer, where Simon King is more like a kind of square beat, hard and fast, which give Hawkwind that sort of driving quality. Maybe not technically as good as Ollis, but I like his driving beats. But yeah, you still got Nick Turner, Brock, Dick and Dale, and Lemmy. Yeah, it's just fantastic, isn't it? All the way through. You got the legendary Brainstorm. I think when you hear that song, when you compare it to what they've done before, it's really kind of ferocious compared to what they've done before. So you realise what you're being let in for, really. But I love Brainstorm. Brainstorm to me, actually, if you hear the end of the song, it kind of fades out, and you can hear it's going into a new section of the song. So there's some live performances where you can hear that, and I always wished that stayed on the album, like a Shouldn't Do That, like a 15-minute track. It's around 11 minutes, I think, but it would have been nice just for them to, you could have cut out one change or something and just had that continue. I think that would have been really cool. But what a song. Space is Deep, I absolutely love. Simple kind of lyrics, but great vocal by Brock. Great sounds. I love, and most of it is an instrumental, driving, pounding towards the end. I absolutely love Space is Deep, one of my favourite songs. Sounds great on Space Ritual as well. One change, just a little quick piano piece by Del Detmar. In the second side you have the awesome Lord of Light. I love the way it starts with the sound effects, the flanging guitars. It's sort of like, you just sit there engulfing it. Then you take it in. It's great to hear, really loud. Always puts my hairs up at that beginning. I love it. And then it goes into sort of a riff. It has a sort of Silver Machine kind of vibe to the riff. It has that similar style. But Dave Brock's vocals on the song, I mean, they're unbelievable. Really high, really high pitch, cutting kind of vocals, fantasy lyrics again. More kind of metaphysical kind of fantasy lyrics, not really dragons and stuff, but more about space and stars and becoming the stars or whatever, really, really amazing lyrics, really great song, and pounding bass through it as well. I love Lemmy's bass through that track. And then you got the Down Through the Night, quite short on this album. It's longer on Space Ritual. It's basically sound effects with Brock singing, but a really great song. I love it. Almost feels like an interlude song, but great track. Then you got the really heavy riffing Time We Left This World Today, where Lemmy really comes into his own. You got an awesome bass solo, just heavy song. I love the way how raw it is. I love the way you can hear the other band members doing the backing vocals, but some are getting the vocals wrong. You can hear that, but they never changed it. They just kept that. I think that's pretty cool, actually. Like you know, keep it raw, keep it real. You know. And then you finish off with Lemmy's The Watcher, a surprisingly kind of quiet, mellow song, but lyrically it's quite intense. You know, being watched. Yeah, Lemmy's spelled Lemme actually on here, which is quite interesting. But yeah, so for me it's my number one album, but my top three could interchange. I just think with this, just the whole look of it, the whole sound, it's very hard for me to describe song by song and the sound of albums, really, especially with a band like Hawkwind, because it's so weird, you know. But yeah, just the whole vibe of the album, the songs are absolutely fantastic. I like the raw, aggressive nature of it. So yeah, my number one album, Do Re Mi Fa Sol La Ti Do. I always just call it Do Re Mi, it's easier. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. I'm going to continue with the polls. I didn't mention actually, so I'm going to do 70s, I'm going to do 80s, 90s, live albums, compilations, and the 2000s and noughties. So they're the album rankings I'm going to do, and it'll be similar to my book. So yeah, once again, if you want to buy my book, look for the links for Amazon or message me up on Facebook or down below, and I'll see you on the next one. I want to try and sort of do these weekly because obviously there's quite a lot of polls. So yeah, I'll see you on the next one for my favourite from worst to best, 80s Hawkwind. So I'll see you for that. Bye.